We're about to begin a brand new love journey. Comment where you're watching from so we can see that our Soul Stories family is all around the world. If asked to guess the most embarrassing thing that could happen on her very first business trip, Lily Evans, 25 years old, a brand new marketing associate at Cole Media, would probably say the wrong slide or spilling coffee on her dress. She never imagined the scenario of knocking on the wrong hotel room door and running into a man who had just stepped out of the shower. Rain was falling over the city that afternoon. The hotel lobby smelled of polished wood and white orchids. Lily pulled her suitcase up to the 18th floor, muttering 1807 under her breath, repeating the room number printed on her keycard. The carpeted hallway, soft and green, swallowed the sound of her footsteps. Ahead of her, a door stood slightly ajar, its number glowing. 1807. Housekeeping must have forgotten to close it fully. Lily knocked twice, softly. No answer. A draft from the air conditioning nudged the door open a little wider. Excuse me, she whispered, meaning only to place her suitcase at the threshold before stepping inside. She hadn't even moved her foot when a man emerged from the steam of the bathroom. Tall, broad-shouldered, his black hair dripping, his skin flushed pink from the heat. He wore nothing but a white towel slung low around his hips. A silver glint flashed from the metal watch on his left wrist. His gaze met hers, startled for a beat, then narrowing slightly as though trying to focus. Lily's brain screamed alarms. Wrong room! Wrong room! Wrong room! Oh, sorry, she nearly shouted, stumbling backward. The wheels of her suitcase caught on the edge of the carpet. She yanked it hard and almost fell. The man instinctively gripped the edge of his towel, one eyebrow lifting. He might have been about to say it's fine, but Lily had already bolted. She dashed down the hallway to the door directly opposite, also marked 1807, her real 1807, of course. The lock clicked shut behind her. The lingering scent of mint from the bathroom across the hall still chased her nose. Leaning against the door, Lily panted for breath. The image of white towel, wet shoulders, dark eyes replayed in her head on a relentless loop, like an HD video. She pressed her palms over her face. God, Lily, day one and you're already legendary. Forget it, she ordered herself. Visual accident. One time only. Don't mention it. Don't see him again. To minimize the risk of a run-in, Lily drew up a survival plan for tonight. Don't leave the room unless absolutely necessary. No wandering. If she must go out, use the service elevator, then come straight back. She flipped open her laptop, the slide deck, interactive experience, touch and unlock, glowing like a lifeline. Every time the white towel memory tried to surface, she stood up to pour a glass of water, inhaled deeply 3 times, then bent back over her checklist. Across the hall in 1808, the man wiped the last drops of water from his hair and chuckled softly. He had no idea who she was, a guest for the event, a staffer, or someone simply lost. But her startled look and that broken little sorry were strangely refreshing in a world of carefully polished faces. He tightened the knot of his towel, glanced toward the now silent door opposite, and the corner of his mouth stayed faintly curved. The first night of the business trip closed with 2 silent promises, pulling in opposite directions. For Lily to erase it completely, for him perhaps, to want to know more. Monday morning, the business trip was over. The company car drove the team straight from the airport to Cole Media headquarters. Lily sat by the window, smiling to herself every 5 minutes. The smile of someone who had just dodged disaster. 3 days at the hotel, and apart from a few fleeting encounters at the elevator and coffee counter, she hadn't had to face the white towel man again. At checkout, holding the receipt in her hand, Lily had even whispered a thank you to the universe for returning her life to peace. Good. Starting today, everything was back to normal. Work. Deadlines, KPIs. No more visual accidents. She braced herself, adjusted her bag strap, and stepped into the soaring glass atrium of Cole Media. The building rose like a vertical slope of ambition. LED walls flashed global campaigns, a gleaming trophy display, and employees moved quickly yet in order. Lily breathed in the smell of fresh coffee, forcing her heartbeat back into rhythm. She headed to the onboarding area to collect her badge and laptop. At 9 o'clock, an internal message pinged. 9:30 a.m. meeting. All marketing staff to Alpha Conference Room. Lily pressed the elevator button. The stainless steel mirror reflected a 25-year-old woman with neatly tied hair, a crisp white shirt, and soft pink lips. She fixed her first-day smile and muttered a small reassurance. In a big company, everyone's busy. No one will. The elevator doors opened. The buzz of the office was swallowed by the glass walls as Lily stepped into the Alpha Conference Room. Rows of chairs, nameplates for team leads lined up in order. Lily chose an empty seat in the back row, set down her notebook and pen, and glued her eyes to the agenda. The department head gave a quick reminder. Today, the CEO will be joining to hear the quarterly plan. Everyone, stay sharp. The CEO? Lily took a sip of water, her nerves flickering. The typical rookie panic before meeting a top executive. Nothing whatsoever to do with the hotel. She jotted bullet points. Budget, campaign scope, KPIs, timeline. Her pen had barely touched the page when the door opened. The entire room straightened instinctively. Lily, too, lifted her head politely, and her heart froze. The man who entered with two assistants was the face she had tried so hard to forget. No mint-scented steam, no towel, no wet shoulders. Only a perfectly tailored gray suit, a deep navy tie, and calm, dark eyes. Adrian Cole. The name struck Lily like the clang of a pin hitting glass. She caught the introduction from the department head, CEO of Cole Media. For a second, Lily's whole world nearly toppled off its chair. Impossible. She bent over her notebook. Her pen dragged a shaky line down the page. The front rows stood to greet him. Adrian gave a small nod and sat at the head of the table. His eyes swept the room, sharp as twin blades, measuring every face. When they slid to the back row, where Lily was desperately trying to disappear, they paused for half a beat. Not long, but long enough for her neck to burn. Then the gaze moved on, as if nothing had happened. Breathe. Sit straight. Write. Lily pressed the pen so hard the ink bled through to the next page. The meeting began. The department head delivered the overview, then team leads presented in turn. Adrian never interrupted, but occasionally spoke three clipped words. Why? Figures? Proof? Each question was a needle. Any plan that is not airtight leaves its presenter fumbling to flip slides. The rumor, CEO demanding, rarely smiles, was absolutely true. In fact, he smiled even less than the rumors claimed. When it came to new product launch this quarter, the department head pitched the safe option, a grand event, A-list KOLs, the standard TVC UH social combo. Some nods, a few, sounds reasonable. Lily listened and scribbled. Old. She hesitated. Rookies should stay quiet. Don't turn yourself into a spotlight in a dark room. Any additions? The department head asked, more out of courtesy. Silence. Lily felt her own hand rise before her brain could stop it. A few heads turned, brows lifted. She swallowed, stood, and kept her voice as steady as she could. May I propose an on-site interactive experience? Instead of just watching, I want the audience to interact by touching to unlock content. An AR touch and unlock gate. Guests raise their phones and the content bursts open, from brand messaging to the event map. Each attendee gets a personalized short clip to share. Initial setup costs are higher, but the effect will spread organically after the event. Rustling murmurs. On the executive row, the person to the left tilted his head. Outdoor AR carries technical risks. Installation is complex. On the right, someone frowned. Does the new team even have the capacity to run this on time? A team lead added pointedly. Evans has only been here a week. Have you accounted for contingency? Lily gripped her pen tighter. Yes, I drafted a fallback checklist. If AR fails, the gate switches to dynamic QR mode. Content will still unlock. I've contacted 2 vendors. One can deliver a demo in 3 days. I'll take responsibility for coordinating technical and on-site operations. The goal is to create a memorable moment people will want to share. Her final words fell into silence. At the head of the table, Adrian leaned back, 2 fingers resting lightly on his notebook, his eyes fixed directly on Lily. No obvious judgment, no polite nod, just watching as if weighing her idea on a steel scale. Budget risk, the CFO reminded. Technical risk, the event supervisor said. Timeline risk, another team lead added. 3 risks, 3 stones dropped at once. Lily inhaled. Yes, I recognize all 3. But if this quarter's goal is to break out of the safe zone, we need a spearhead. I believe this is it. A hush. Lily heard the faint click of a pen, so small only those nearby would notice. She glanced up just slightly. Adrian turned his notebook, drew a quiet mark in the margin, then gave the barest nod, almost imperceptible, and spoke in a low voice. Try it. The entire room looked up. 3 words. Short, sharp, final. Adrian slowly added, tech team to coordinate with marketing. I would like an internal demo within 3 days. Budget from the experimental fund. Evans leads the experience and handles fallback. Everyone else support. A thin wave of murmurs spread. Some mouths fell open and shut again. Some coolly wrote AR trial. The department head glanced at Lily, a look equal parts surprise and reevaluation. And Lily, for a fleeting moment, felt her heart leap, a mix of fear and exhilaration, weightless and tense all at once. She stood tall and answered crisply, Understood. Adrian had already turned to the next slide, voice steady as a metronome. But when summarizing objectives, his eyes flicked back to the rear row for half a second, sealing the moment. No smile. Only the faintest warmth at the corner of his eyes, so thin that if she blinked, Lily might have thought she imagined it. The meeting dispersed. Some left early, some lingered. Lily waited until the room thinned, then gathered her notes. Quietly, she stepped into the hall, reminding herself, get to work, call vendors, build a checklist, forget the hotel. She pressed the elevator button, and the numbers lit up 1, 2, 3 floors. Evans! A voice behind her, deep and clear. She turned. Adrian stood a few paces away, one hand in his pocket, composed as if the hallway were just an extension of his office. At closer range, a clean mint scent drifted faintly, but this time from his suit and tie, not steam. Your idea, he said. Don't let the risks kill it. If you need an internal unlock, send me the mail directly. He didn't introduce himself. He didn't need to. His business card was this entire building. Yes, Lily nodded, forcing her voice to stay even. I'll send the demo as soon as possible. He gave a slight nod. Good. Then walked away without looking back. The elevator doors opened. Lily stepped inside, catching her reflection in the steel panel. Her ears flushed pink, her eyes unusually bright. She let out a soft laugh, barely audible. Everything really had returned to normal, just in a different way. Not the quiet normal she wanted, but the kind of normal that came with a challenge. In her mind, the words "try it" were bolded like a campaign headline. She opened her phone and typed 3 quick lines to the tech team. Kickoff AR, meeting 1400, checklist plus fallback, full speed. Down another corridor, Adrian passed the glass walls, his shadow stretching long. He wasn't thinking about a towel or the hotel. In his mind remained only one image. A young woman, hand trembling slightly but eyes steady, laying an idea on the table against 3 risks, and still saying, I'll take it. That precise edge of daring was what made him say, try it. Monday morning closed with numbers dialed, emails sent, and a new heartbeat in someone's chest. Everything seemed back to normal, except this normal had opened a new door, this one not ajar, but wide open. Do it and see what happens. 3 days later, Cole Media's Touch and Unlock campaign officially launched at the company's event. Lily stood backstage, her heart pounding like war drums. On the giant LED screen, the countdown clock flashed its final numbers. The lights in the auditorium dimmed, replaced by the glow of hundreds of phones lifted at once. 3, 2, 1, the MC shouted. The audience raised their phones toward the AR gate Lily and her team had built. In an instant, 3D visuals exploded across the screens. The brand's logo spun inside a burst of fireworks, paired with a glowing slogan hovering right before their eyes. Cheers erupted, waves of "Wow!" rippled through the hall. The room lit up with flashes as the audience scrambled to film, post, and share stories. Pressed against the backdrop, Lily's hands trembled, not from fear but from exhilaration. Everything ran smoothly, not a single glitch. The fallback checklist she had prepared stayed unused. Within 10 minutes, social media was on fire. The campaign hashtag shot to the top of trending lists. AR experience clips flooded TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. The short videos of audiences unlocking the slogan with one touch were shared thousands of times in just the first hour. The marketing director stared at his phone in disbelief. Another executive exclaimed, "Real-time numbers, 5 times higher than projections." Clutching her binder, Lily's eyes glistened. "I did it. I actually did it." The next day, the recap meeting buzzed with energy. Team leads reported numbers with excitement. Brand mentions up 370% over target. Share rate on social media is 7 times higher than the previous event. Whispers spread among staff. Everyone knew the success had sprung from Lily's idea. When the reports ended, all eyes turned toward Adrian Cole. He leaned back in his chair, his deep, dark eyes unreadable, flipping through his notes. A brief silence hung over the room, taut with anticipation. Then he looked up, his voice low but clear. "The campaign exceeded expectations." "Evans," he paused, his gaze landing directly on Lily. "You did very well." The air froze. Heads turned toward her at once. Cole Media was infamous for being a place where the CEO rarely praised anyone in public. His words carried more weight than any award. Flustered, Lily stood. Her heart felt like it might burst out of her chest. "Thank you. It's an honor." Adrian gave a slight nod, then swept his eyes over the room. "Everyone should learn to think differently, to dare to try." Today's success began with that risk. From now on, I expect each of you to bring the spirit into your work. A round of applause broke out. Lily sat down, her ears still burning. She didn't dare look around, but inside her chest bloomed a pride she could barely contain. In the days that followed, Lily Evans's name was on everyone's lips. The rising star of marketing, the AR girl, the one the CEO praised publicly. Every time she walked the halls, she caught whispers, admiring glances, and friendlier nods. But along with admiration came something else. Cool stares, even hostility. Some colleagues grew distant. Others muttered behind her back, "She's just the CEO's favorite." Pure luck, not real talent. Lily overheard fragments, her chest tightening. She knew every workplace was the same. Success always brought pressure. Admiration always came with envy. So she chose to smile, bow her head over her work, and keep going. I can't control what they think. I can only prove myself again with the next result. That night, staying late, Lily passed the 20th floor, a space usually reserved for executives. The hallway lights were dimmed, except for the glow from a corner office. Through the glass, she saw Adrian sitting alone, his suit jacket draped over the chair, shirt sleeves rolled up, eyes fixed on his laptop. The white glow lit his angular face, serious yet softer than in the boardroom. Lily froze, a memory flashing. The hotel night, the half-open door, the man in a white towel. Between that image and this one, so sharply different, almost opposite, something strange stirred inside her chest. She quickly turned away, refusing to linger. "He's the CEO. I'm just an employee. Best to keep my distance." But her heart wouldn't obey. It still beat fast whenever she recalled his warm voice that morning. "Evans, you did very well." And so, from one meaningless hotel mishap, Lily had become the new name on everyone's radar at Cole Media. Her first success had opened a path, but also planted something more complicated in her world and theirs. Attention, competition, and envy. A new chapter had begun, and Lily knew the real challenge had only just started. That day, Lily left the office later than usual. The sound of keyboards had faded floor by floor, leaving only neon lights casting long shadows across the hallway. She folded her laptop, slipped it into her bag, and headed out to catch a taxi back to her newly rented apartment. But the moment the glass doors slid open, the night wind rushed in, heavy raindrops pelting down. The street below was drowned in a white curtain of rain, Car lights smeared into long streaks across the pavement. Lily sighed, hugged her bag closer, and hurriedly opened her small umbrella. A fierce gust flipped it inside out, snapping one of its ribs. "Perfect," she muttered, struggling to twist it back against the wind, only to get wetter. She darted to the curb and raised her hand for a taxi, but the downpour sent traffic speeding past, no car slowing to stop. Her shirt clung cold against her skin, her breath shallow. This must be the price for staying late just to prove myself. A sleek black car pulled up in front of her. The window slid down. A deep, steady voice cut through the roar of rain. "Get in! You'll be soaked." Lily froze. The streetlight above lit the familiar profile behind the wheel. Adrian Cole, the CEO, the man she had promised herself to avoid outside of office hours. "No, no need, I can catch a taxi," she stammered, holding up her broken umbrella as proof. The corner of his mouth twitched, almost a smile, but he held back. What taxi would stop in this storm? "Get in!" Another blast of rain lashed against her, leaving Lily no choice. She pulled the door open and slipped into the passenger seat. The faint scent of leather mixed with a trace of mint filled the air, the kind of scent that sent her heart racing beyond control. The door closed, sealing off the storm. The outside world blurred into sheets of rain, while inside silence reigned, broken only by the steady sweep of windshield wipers. Lily buckled her seatbelt, eyes glued to the window, silently wishing the ride could somehow be half as long. Adrian drove calmly, one hand resting loosely on the wheel. No music, no calls, just the silence, heavy enough to press down harder than the rain outside. Then his voice came, quiet but clear. "Do you still think about that night?" Lily's head whipped around. In the dim light, his eyes stayed on the road. Not a trace of mockery, just a simple question, but one that sent her heartbeat into chaos. Which night?" she tried, forcing a natural tone. It trembled, betraying her. The corner of his mouth curved slightly, though his gaze stayed on the rain. "The wrong door. The hotel." Lily's cheeks burned as if someone had turned on a heater in the car. She snapped her eyes back to the window, her voice unsteady. I've tried to forget. It was just an accident." "Forget?" he repeated slowly. "I haven't." The words dropped heavy in the silence, sinking like a stone in water. Lily's pulse raced, unsure whether to be relieved or terrified. She clenched the strap of her bag, her chest trembling with a feeling she didn't want to name. Don't tease me like that," she whispered, her voice almost too low to hear. This time Adrian glanced at her, just for a moment, but long enough for those dark eyes to sweep over her, stealing her breath. "I'm not joking." Streetlights flashed past the windows, streaking golden lines across his face. His usual calm seemed laced with something harder to define. Lily didn't dare ask more. She turned back to the rain, searching for escape in its relentless curtain. But inside her, the wall she had built, "Keep your distance, focus on work," wavered, cracks spreading with every beat of her heart. The car slowed, turning onto her street. Adrian stopped smoothly in front of her building, the brakes exhaling like a sigh. "Thank you for the ride," Lily said quickly, unbuckling. Her words rushed as if to cut through the thick tension. "Lily." He spoke her name for the first time that night. His voice was low, steady. "Next time, don't hesitate to call me. Whether it's the rain or anything else." She bit her lip, not daring to meet his eyes, and nodded faintly, then opened the door. The rain still fell in torrents, splashing her face, but inside her chest burned with heat. She hurried into the lobby, not daring to look back. Through the rain-blurred glass, she stole one last glance. The black car lingered for a few seconds as if waiting, then rolled slowly away. Lily stood still, hand pressed to her chest, feeling her heart pounding wildly. Just an accident, just a ride. But her heart shouted something else. "I can't control this anymore." For the whole week after that rainy night, Lily found it impossible to fully concentrate on work. She still fulfilled her duties, drafted detailed plans, and delivered sharp ideas. Yet every time she accidentally caught Adrian's eyes in a meeting, her heartbeat faltered, echoing his words. I haven't forgotten. Sometimes passing by other departments, she overheard bits of gossip about the CEO. In the pantry, a group of employees whispered, "Did you know Adrian was once engaged?" "Yeah, I heard his fiancée betrayed him, ran off with some wealthy investor. The wedding was canceled right before the big day. No wonder he froze up after that, shut his feelings down, never close to anyone again." Lily paused, coffee cup in hand. Her chest tightened. The pieces fit together. His coldness, his severity, those eyes that rarely revealed anything. These weren't just traits. They were scars that had never healed. She walked back to her desk, carrying a heaviness she couldn't quite name. So he had loved once, and he had been left behind. One Friday night, the office was almost dark. Outside, the city glittered with streetlights scattered like stars on the glass facade. Lily stayed late, polishing a report for a side campaign. The blue glow from her laptop screen traced the lines of her tired but determined face. The quiet click of a door startled her. She looked up and froze at the sight of Adrian. His jacket was off, his tie loosened, his white shirt faintly wrinkled. He wasn't the icy CEO from the boardroom, but a man carrying a weight too heavy on his shoulders. He set his briefcase on the desk across from hers and sat down in silence. In that moment, the gulf of hierarchy seemed to vanish. She glimpsed in his eyes a fatigue, a fragile weakness she was certain no one else at the company had ever seen. "You're still working?" she asked softly, her voice barely above a breath. Adrian studied her for a long moment before answering. "When you're the one hundreds of people look to for every decision, rest stops being an option." Lily said nothing. She knew what it felt like to be depended on, but never at that scale. The light cast his shadow across the desk, long and solitary. A strange ache of sympathy stirred inside her. He leaned back, rubbing his temples. "Sometimes, I'm not even sure I believe in anything anymore." "You can believe in me," Lily blurted, surprising even herself with her boldness. She drew in a breath, then added, "At least I believe in the work we're doing. And I believe you're not as alone as you think." Silence lingered. Adrian lifted his gaze. The dark eyes that usually seemed frozen cracked open, a thin layer of ice breaking. He looked at Lily not as a CEO or an employee, but as a man searching for something solid to hold on to. "Lily!" He murmured her name, his voice low and resonant, like a cello filling the quiet room. She didn't look away. Her heart raced, but this time not from fear. It was the pulse of someone letting herself drift, surrendering to the pull of emotion. The space between them shrank, not by steps, but by understanding. Adrian braced a hand on the desk, leaning slightly closer. Lily felt his warm breath graze her hair. The air grew thick, charged. She bit her lip, tangled in a storm of emotions, the urge to step back, the yearning to lean in. And just then, Adrian whispered, unguarded, "Do you know, you're the first person in years who makes me want to lower my walls?" Lily's eyes widened, her heart bursting into shards of light. She wanted to answer, but her throat locked. Only her gaze spoke for her, steady, unafraid, trembling with feeling. Adrian stopped just at the edge of that fragile line, unwilling to cross it too easily. His pride and restraint held him back, yet his lips curved faintly, and his voice, deep and smoldering, carried both desire and caution. "Don't make me regret trusting you." A shiver rippled through Lily. Her body thrummed with a sweetness that burned. She managed only a small nod, an unspoken promise. That night, in the hushed office with the city lights glowing faintly beyond, Adrian let his exhaustion show for the first time. And Lily, the girl who had once stumbled into his world by accident, became the first person he allowed into the locked chambers of his heart. Cole Media entered the most intense phase of the year, the global launch campaign for a major brand. The building glowed through the nights, departments sprinting toward deadlines, the atmosphere thick like the calm before a storm. Lily was there from the sketching stage, seated beside Adrian in critical meetings. He listened to everything, but only spoke at decisive moments. Each time, the room held its breath. Lily gradually learned not to fear those dark eyes anymore. Instead, she felt their challenge. "Dare to risk it. Make me believe in you again." In one presentation, while executives debated safe scenarios, Lilly stood up boldly. We can merge AR and VR to create a seamless journey from live to online. Attendees won't just watch the event, they'll become part of it. On-site, they open the AR gate. Online, they enter the same world through VR headsets. Two streams of data, running parallel, feeding each other. The room froze. A few mutters rose. Costs, technical risks, feasibility. But Adrian leaned back, tapping a steady rhythm on the table. When Lilly ended with, "This leap will push us beyond our competitors," his head tilted, eyes alight. "Do it," he said firmly. "Full team support. Evans leads the experience." In that instant, every eye turned to her. Lilly felt the weight of pressure, but also a fire blazing within. Once again, Adrian had entrusted her, and this time, it was with one of the company's most critical projects. 3 weeks later, the campaign launched. The hall erupted as audiences experienced the AR Gate live, while hundreds of thousands of people online simultaneously dove into the VR world. Clips spread like wildfire. The media hailed it as a spectacular breakthrough. Rivals who had dominated the field lost their edge overnight. When confetti rained down, Lilly stood frozen, hardly believing it. Backstage roared with cheers, handshakes, and hugs. Amid the chaos, Adrian approached. Just a small nod, but in his eyes gleamed something no words could equal. That evening, as teams headed off to celebrate, Adrian stopped Lilly at the elevator. "Are you free?" His voice was low, not exactly a command, but steady enough to send her heart skittering. "Yep, I am. Have dinner with me." So simple a request, yet Lilly faltered. This wasn't a crowded staff party, nor a business dinner. His eyes said more than the words. They went to a small restaurant on a quiet street, bathed in warm golden light, scented with oak and wine. No crowds of employees, no clients, just the two of them, seated across a table meant for two. "This is a celebration," Adrian said as he poured the wine, "but I also wanted the chance to hear you speak outside the boardroom." Lilly smiled softly. "Aren't you afraid a new hire might bother the CEO?" He arched a brow, dark eyes glinting with rare mischief. "Maybe I want to be bothered for once." They spoke first of work, of campaigns around the world. Then the conversation wandered. The small cafes Lilly loved, the trips Adrian had postponed. The gap between them closed, not with effort, but with the easy rhythm of words, bright with laughter and warmth. When dessert arrived, both reached for the same plate. Lilly's hand brushed against his, just a light touch, yet enough to make them both pause. She pulled back quickly, her cheeks coloring. "Sorry." Adrian didn't withdraw immediately. His fingers lingered for a beat, as though reluctant to release the moment. His eyes caught hers, deep, steady, warm. "No need to apologize," he said, his voice low, deliberate, like an echo in the quiet room. The air stilled, broken only by the soft hum of jazz. Lily's heart pounded, her breath shallow. She couldn't bring herself to look directly at him, her gaze dropping, her flushed cheeks giving her away. The moment didn't last long, but it was enough to leave them both self-conscious as they left the restaurant. On the drive back, in gentle silence, they both knew. This celebratory dinner had planted another seed. Not work, not duty, something softer, smoldering quietly, waiting for its chance to ignite. Soul Stories fam, if you're watching on another channel, come home to us at Soul Stories, where tens of thousands of listeners and sharers come together. Late afternoon, as most of Cole Media's staff streamed out of the office, Lilly lingered behind, tidying a stack of files. For days now, her heart had lived in a fragile state, bright with the glow of her dinner with Adrian, yet cautious, afraid to name the feeling. Every time she recalled his eyes when their hands brushed, her cheeks burned hot. I shouldn't fool myself. But was it only me who felt it? The glass doors on the 20th floor slid open. The receptionist's voice floated in. "This way, please, the CEO is expecting you." Lilly looked up, curious. Down the hall came a tall, slender figure, a red-fitted dress, a radiant smile, confident eyes. The whole corridor seemed to light up as the woman approached Adrian's office. In that instant, Lilly recognized the name she had overheard whispered among employees. Clara Hamilton, Adrian's former fiancé, the one who betrayed him. Lily froze, gripping the folder tightly. Her heartbeat drummed uneasily. Inside the office, Adrian sat behind his desk, cold and composed as ever. Clara entered, her smile trembling beneath the sheen of red lipstick. Adrian, her voice was soft as the wind. I know I was wrong in the past, but I've come back. I want another chance. Adrian didn't move. His dark gaze was deep, unyielding. Clara, what we had ended a long time ago. There's nothing left to say. Nothing? Not even a little? She stepped closer, her eyes glistening, desperate. I regret it every day. I know I betrayed you, but you are the only man I ever loved. Adrian rose, intending to end it. We've gone too far to turn back. Please don't appear in my life again. But as he stepped past the desk, Clara suddenly seized his hand. Adrian, please, just listen to me this once. At that very moment, the door opened slightly. Lily entered, holding the folder she'd meant to deliver for his signature. The scene struck her like a blade. Clara, dazzling in red, clutching Adrian's hand. He paused, face still cold. But to Lily, the moment looked like confirmation. Her chest clenched. He still feels for her. Words can end things, but a hand tells the truth. Quietly, she backed out, closing the door without a sound. The folder trembled in her grip, nearly slipping to the floor. The warmth she'd carried since their dinner crumbled to ash. So this is what I am. Just a shadow, a temporary stand-in. Lily decided then she had to withdraw. She wasn't strong enough to remain behind a wound that had never healed. In the days that followed, Adrian noticed the change. Lily no longer sought him out as before, always avoiding his eyes in meetings. During discussions, she spoke only to cover her part, leaving as soon as she could. Her emails were curt, carefully professional, building a wall of distance. Once passing through the hall, Adrian saw her laughing with colleagues, but the moment he appeared, her smile faded. She excused herself with something urgent and walked away. Adrian clenched his fist, irritation sparking like fire. He wasn't used to being ignored, especially not by someone he had allowed himself to care about. That night, he called the department head directly. Is something wrong with Evans? The man stammered. I'm not sure. She just seems quieter these days. Adrian hung up and stepped onto the balcony. The night wind was cold, but inside him, flames raged. He remembered that rainy night, the way Lily trembled when he said, the wrong door. He remembered her shy smile over dessert, and now she had turned into a wall of silence. Number. I won't let this go without knowing why. A mix of worry and anger burned within him. Worry that Lily had misunderstood. Anger that she would rather run than face him. Gripping the railing tight, he gazed into the dark city skyline, silently vowing. Evans, you will tell me. No matter where you hide, I'll find you. In her small apartment, Lily shut her laptop and turned off the lights. She lay on her bed, eyes wide open. Clara in the red dress, holding Adrian's hand, haunted her mind. She didn't see his cold refusal. She only saw a man once, deeply in love, with a past that still clung to him. Her heart ached sharply, but she told herself, I have to let go before I fall too far. Outside, the rain poured again. In two separate places, two sleepless souls remained awake. One determined to walk away, the other determined not to let that happen. Product launch night. The hall blazed like a galaxy compressed within four walls of glass. On stage, the LED screens flickered through final tests, follow spots blinking in rhythm. Lily stood at the wing, walkie in hand, her voice low but brisk. Check the AR gate again. Camera B, switch to wide. Front row, please take your seats. Everything aligned like a well-oiled machine, except her heart. For days, she had avoided Adrian like a cold draft. Whenever his figure appeared in the hallway, she changed direction at once. She kept reminding herself, pull back, Lily, before it hurts more. Yet even when their eyes didn't meet, traces of him lingered everywhere. In the cadence of keystrokes, in the whiff of mint as someone passed, in those empty moments when the memory of their dinner replayed like a warm film reel. Evans, final check on left side power line. The tech's voice crackled in her ear. Copy, Lily replied. She bent over the mini control board, fingers sliding across switches. Suddenly, snap, a dry crack, sparks leaping from a connector. She yanked her hand back. Careful with socket 6, she reported steadily. It's showing overload. Her words broke off as the entire left rig of lights flickered, then flared too bright. A faint creak followed from the overhead truss, a sound only tech-savvy ears recognized with dread. A safety joint had given way. Kill the lights, Lily shouted. No time for the walkie. Technicians sprinted to the main board, but machinery always outpaced humans. She looked up, saw a bar light slipping from its lock, tilting like a slow blade. The nearest person in its path was Lily herself. Instinct as a coordinator screamed, "Run to the mobile shield! Protect the front row!" Instinct for survival shouted, "Move!" But her feet had already propelled her forward. Everything happened in a single breath. The air in the hall shifted, the murmur of the crowd swelling like a wave. Lily reached for the shield's handle, and then a strong force wrapped around her from behind, pulling her tight against a solid chest, spinning her out of the danger zone. Both of them hit the floor just as the light crashed down, shattering against the stage edge. A white flash burst, shards scattering across the black carpet. 1, 2, 3, breathe, a deep voice murmured, hot against the top of her head. Arms braced her like a wall. Lily lifted her face. He was so close she saw golden flecks within his dark eyes. Adrian. His suit was streaked with dust and glass, his tie crooked. A thin scratch marred his cheek, a trickle of blood just visible. He leaned closer still, as though the world itself might hurt her if he let go. Are you hurt? His voice was rough with adrenaline. Her throat tightened. I'm fine. I think. Her heart thundered as though she'd sprinted miles. The scent of leather, mint, and shattered glass tangled into something she knew she'd never forget. The tech team shut down the left rig. The MC smoothly diverted the audience toward the secondary setup. Security pulled up ropes. Chaos tucked itself back into a neat contingency plan. But inside the small circle where Adrian held her, time warped. All sound faded, leaving only their breaths and heartbeats. Let me see, Adrian said softly. His large hand lifted her wrist, red where a cable had grazed her. His fingers brushed over the mark, featherlight. The touch rippled straight to her chest. She jerked slightly overwhelmed. He didn't force, only studied her, eyes intent, ensuring she was truly unharmed. You're bleeding, she whispered, pointing to his cheek. Does it hurt? Adrian's lips curved, half smile, half sigh. Not as much as seeing you under that rig. A jolt struck her sternum. Lily bit her lip. All the walls she'd built these past weeks. Avoid him. He still cares for his ex. Don't be a replacement. Crumbled like the glass at their feet. One embrace had shattered them all. I told the crew to replace every secondary lock, Adrian muttered, still holding her gaze. But even if the ceiling came down, I'd run to you first. It wasn't a poetic promise. It was the truth that had just happened. And that truth burned hotter than words. A technician rushed up, breathless. CEO, it's stable now. We've isolated the area and rerouted to Zone B. 3 minutes till restart. Adrian nodded, gave quick instructions, then turned back. His hand remained on Lily's arm, not gripping, not claiming, simply present. Lily, he said quietly, lowering his voice, stop running. She looked up. The light from Zone B spilled into his eyes, glinting with restless control. She wanted to tell him, I saw Clara holding your hand. I thought I was only a substitute, but words tangled. What came out instead was small, trembling, painfully honest. What about the past? It's over, he answered without hesitation. That door's locked. Don't stay outside because of a shadow. The last of her shield fell away. Her breath hitched. Before she could finish, a soft ding echoed in the system, the signal to resume. The audience was counting down. In the sliver of urgency, Adrian leaned in, voice hushed like rain on the edge of a storm. Give me 1 second, his eyes asked. Hers answered. He bent down. The kiss landed gently, not the rushed claim of movie scripts, but restrained, warm. It was a thank you for her safety, an apology for her fears, a vow of his presence. Lily received it. Her heart bloomed into a flame. When she didn't pull away, his lips pressed firmer, decisive. 1 second. 2. Just enough for the world to lose rhythm, enough for a sweet tide to flood her chest. Then he pulled back lightly, resting his forehead against hers, breathing with her. After the program, wait for me, he murmured, his voice husky. We'll clear everything. I won't let you misunderstand another minute. Lily nodded, lips trembling. Okay. Her eyes shone like someone had flipped on a switch. Now, Adrian straightened, his hand brushing her back with quiet strength. Get to position. You're the only one I trust to keep this flow on track. Yes, Lily answered, her voice steadier than it had been in weeks. She stepped back, headset on. Team B, ready. Run the backup sequence. MC, take my cue on 3. Camera, prep crowd shot. The Zone B lights flared. The MC counted down. 3, 2, 1. The hall erupted again, none aware that just backstage, a rig had fallen, an embrace had held, and a kiss had realigned the course of 2 hearts. At the stage edge, Lily glanced across. Adrian stood a few meters away, one hand in his pocket, gaze on the crowd. Yet when he felt her eyes, the corner of his mouth curved, so faint it was meant for no one else but her. And Lily, amid rushing lights and music soaring like meteors, understood. Some doors open by mistake, but others only open when we nearly lose each other. Tonight, in a dangerous moment, they had chosen to open the right one. After the product launch, Lily could hardly sleep. That moment, when Adrian shielded her, when his breath mingled with hers, when his lips found hers in the chaos, remained burning hot in her memory. But once the auditorium doors closed and the program carried on, reason clawed its way back. Lily reminded herself, it was just a surge of emotion. He lost control because he almost lost an employee in front of him. Any CEO would have done the same. I can't mistake it for more. So she locked herself back inside discipline, rebuilding her walls brick by brick. At work, she timed her day to avoid crossing paths with him. In meetings, her eyes stayed firmly on the documents. With colleagues, she laughed louder than usual to cover the storm beneath her skin. Yet the more she avoided him, the more her heart betrayed her. Each night, she replayed his eyes, his hoarse whisper against her ear. Don't run anymore. One late evening, Lily sat in her small apartment typing an email to her best friend back home. She needed to pour out the storm raging inside. I don't know what to do anymore. He's the CEO, a man who's been betrayed, clearly still carrying wounds of the past. And me? I've fallen in love. Every time I look at him, it feels like he isn't just my boss. He's a man who stepped into my life from that ridiculous wrong door moment. But I don't want to be someone's replacement. I don't want to live in another woman's shadow. I have to keep my distance. Right? She reread the words, drew in a deep breath, then hit send. Sent! But only seconds later, her eyes widened in horror. The to field wasn't her friend's email. It was Adrian Cole. No way, she whispered, heart hammering. She scrambled to check her outbox, but it was too late. The email had been sent. On the top floor of Cole Media, Adrian was reviewing end-of-day reports when a notification of a new email appeared. He frowned. Evans? He opened it, and each line struck him straight in the chest. I've fallen in love, but I don't want to be a replacement. Adrian sat motionless. Outside, the city blazed with light, but in his office, there was only one glow. The raw, trembling words of Lily, not meant for him, yet revealing her whole heart to him. In that moment, he understood everything. Her sudden distance, the forced smiles, the walls she built, and behind them, a love so fierce she didn't dare to claim it. He closed his eyes, a strange smile flickering across his lips. Half warmth, half ache. Silly Evans. You think you're just a shadow? You have no idea. From the day you walked through that wrong door, my world has never been the same. He shut his laptop and stood. Determination surged hotter than ever. He would not let her run any longer. Meanwhile, in her small apartment, Lily sat paralyzed after the mistake, her mind tangled like a knotted thread. Had he read it yet? What would tomorrow bring? If he stayed silent, it would confirm her worst fear. It would mean she was only a replacement. And then she would have to leave. That night, she clutched her pillow, tears slipping down her cheeks. She prayed and trembled at once, caught in the sharp edge of longing and dread. Outside, the city burned bright. But for Lily, the night stretched twice as long as any before. That morning, the air at Cole Media felt strangely heavy for Lily. She walked into the office, heart hammering, one thought echoing over and over. Has he read the email yet? She avoided the 20th floor entirely, burying herself in tasks, hoping the day would slip by quietly. But as the office began to empty at the end of the day, the phone on her desk rang sharply. Evans, my office. Adrian's voice, low, firm. Lily nearly dropped her pen. She stood, legs trembling, and stepped into the elevator as if heading into battle. The CEO's office glowed warm under golden lights, so still she could hear her own heartbeat. Adrian stood by his desk, sleeves rolled, an aura both commanding and dangerous. On the desk, his laptop remained open, and at its center, Lily recognized the cursed email subject from the previous night. He turned the screen toward her. You meant to send this to me, didn't you? Lily's throat locked, her face pale. I didn't. It was a mistake. Adrian took a step closer, his dark eyes drilling into hers. A mistake? Or the truth you're afraid to face? She backed half a step, voice trembling. I didn't want you to think I was intruding on an old wound. I didn't want to be someone's shadow. He stopped, his gaze sharp but not angry. Wounded. He lifted the printed email in his hand and read aloud. I've fallen in love, but I don't want to be a replacement. Each word landed like a heavy bell, making Lily flush scarlet. Tears welled, but she fought them back. Evans, his voice dropped, each syllable deliberate. You think I only see you as a substitute? She choked out, unable to meet his eyes. I don't know. I'm scared. He exhaled sharply. Then in a sudden movement, Adrian set his hands on her shoulders, tilting her face up. His eyes blazed, burning through every wall she'd built. Listen to me. I don't want the past. I don't want anyone else. From the moment you walked through that wrong door, you became the only person who's made me lower my guard. But, Lily's voice trembled, thin as thread. No, but, his gaze flared. I've never wanted anyone but you. The world stopped. Lily opened her mouth to speak, but his lips found hers. No restraint, no hesitation now. The kiss was deep, sure, fierce, as though he wanted to burn away every doubt left inside her. One hand pressed against her back, drawing her to his chest. The other tilted her chin so she had no way to retreat. Lily trembled, but this time she didn't pull back. She answered him, her heart exploding, its rhythm merging with his. All the fear, the guilt, the hiding, dissolved in that single moment. When they parted, their breaths mingled and his forehead rested against hers. His voice came hoarse, a whisper like a vow. Never think you're just a shadow. You're everything to me. Tears rolled down Lily's cheeks, but they were tears of release. She nodded, smiling through the tremor. Then, I won't run anymore. Adrian held her tighter, as if anchoring her there, promising silently he'd never let her slip from his arms again. Outside, the city lights blazed as witness to a final truth. Two hearts that had denied, avoided, and feared, now daring to face each other, to confess, and to choose one another. On Monday morning, the entire Cole Media staff gathered in the main auditorium for the quarterly report. Normally, the air in the hall was formal, even stiff, but today, a quiet current of attention threaded through the rows, all focused on one person, Lily Evans. After a string of breakthrough campaigns, her name had become the company's favorite and most whispered topic. On stage, Adrian stepped out, charcoal gray suit perfect, face composed in the familiar cool expression. But as his gaze swept across the rows and settled on Lily, his voice shifted, slower, warmer. Cole Media has achieved results beyond expectation, he began, and the credit belongs to our marketing department, led by Evans. Lily froze for half a heartbeat. She rose amid a wave of applause, bowing politely, but Adrian didn't stop. What I want to highlight isn't just talent. Evans has proved something else. Having the courage to think differently, to take risks, and to take responsibility. That spirit is what makes Cole Media not just stronger, but greater. Applause exploded. Many turned to look at Lily, this time not with envy, but with admiration. She flushed, her heart fluttering when she caught Adrian's eyes from the stage. A look no longer cold, but steady, as if he were declaring a choice not just for the company, but for his own heart. In the months that followed, Lily and Adrian immersed themselves in an international project, an AR/VR hybrid with a global livestream, synchronizing millions of users simultaneously. This time, there was no hesitation or second guessing. They worked in seamless tandem, so fluidly that colleagues could only stare in astonishment. At the launch, the foreign brand's executives exclaimed, "Cole Media has just redefined how the world experiences media." International press praised them. The company's stock price soared. That night in a closed conference room, Adrian sat beside Lily, raising a glass of wine. The light reflected off his sharp features, now brighter than she had ever seen them. "We've just opened the international door for Cole Media," he said softly. "But for me, there's another door that matters more." Lily tilted her head, about to ask, when Adrian stood and held out his hand. "Come with me." They left headquarters and drove to a familiar hotel. When the car stopped at the entrance, Lily's heart skipped. She knew this place at once. It was the hotel from that night, the place where she had stumbled into the wrong room. Adrian led her up to the floor, stopping before a familiar door. He turned to her, eyes dark yet gentle. "That day," he said slowly, "you opened the wrong door. But for me, it was the truest moment of my life, because that door opened my heart." Lily's breath caught. In her mind, images spilled like a reel. Her startled cry, his cold eyes at the company's start, their sleepless nights on projects, the rain on her shirt, his arms shielding her from the falling light rig. All the pieces of a single path leading here. She bit her lip, tears brimming. "Adrian!" He stepped closer, his hand tilting her chin up. "I don't want to hide from the past anymore. And I won't let you think you're just a shadow. Evans, you are my choice. Publicly, before everyone, and before myself." Lily laughed through her tears, a shy and radiant smile on her face. "You know, if that door hadn't been ajar that night, I don't think I'd have dared to walk in." "But you did," he murmured, his lips brushing hers. "And since then, I've never wanted to close it again." This kiss wasn't awkward or impulsive. It was steady, deep, a promise for the present and the future. Outside in the hall, the hotel's warm golden lights glowed, like destiny itself smiling. And in his arms, Lily knew without doubt, she wasn't mistaken anymore. She had found the right door to her life. A year passed in the blink of an eye. But for Lily and Adrian, it was long enough to rewrite the very definition of teammate and lifelong partner. Cole Media now carried a different rhythm. On the 18th floor, in the marketing department, a small wooden plaque hung proudly, "Dare to touch and open." Beneath it, the name Lily Evans, marketing director, gleamed, not because of the font, but because of the respect in every colleague's eyes when they spoke of her. She led a team that was young, daring, and relentless. The doubts and whispers of the past were gone, replaced with trust and pride. On the 20th floor, Adrian Cole was still CEO. Gray suits, deep navy ties, eyes as dark and calm as a morning lake. But those who knew him understood that behind that steady exterior, the long nights were no longer lonely. On his desk, beside his laptop, stood a small photo frame. Lily in a hard hat, grinning amid an AR gate installation, her cheeks smudged with paint. That single snapshot softened even the tensest boardroom debates. Together, they had survived a year of trials, a global campaign across 7 time zones, a transmission glitch at 2 a.m., with Lily on the mic, calming the public while Adrian stood silently behind her, her backbone. Another stormy night where he simply drove her home, turned on the heater, and shared the silence. These moments had shifted their relationship from cautious to inevitable. They were a team. Inside the company, people called them the gravity pair. One set the center, the other created the momentum. The wedding was as gentle as a silk ribbon. The sky was a soft, pale blue, the sun kind. The ceremony took place in a hilltop garden overlooking a valley of trees and a silver river that wound like a ribbon. The path was lined with orange blossoms and delicate white flowers. At the entrance stood a wooden arch, a playful nod to fate, crowned with a sign, "Wrong door, right heart." Lily appeared behind a veil of sheer white satin, her gown skimming her frame, the veil cascading like a stream. Her hair was tied low, pinned with sprigs of baby's breath. The moment she stepped out, the garden seemed to pause. She walked the wooden aisle toward Adrian. Classic black suit, a rare smile tilting fully in her direction, as though gravity itself had finally found its anchor. When her hand slipped into his, Lily felt her heartbeat align with the whisper of wind through the leaves. All the old storms, envy, misunderstanding, fear, dissolved like clouds. She looked up, caught his dark gaze, and smiled. "We met because of a door left ajar," she whispered, "and I thought I'd spend my life standing outside." "I thought my life was a locked room," Adrian murmured back. "And then you walked in, without knocking." They stood beneath the arch as the officiant spoke blessings. When it was time for vows, Adrian didn't reach for a paper. He looked straight into her brown eyes, voice low and steady. "I won't promise to always be right, but I promise to always stand beside you, whether it's under a falling stage light or through a server crash in the middle of the night. If storms come, I'll be your shelter. If darkness falls, I'll be the light. And if new doors appear, I'll open them with you. Not out of curiosity, but because we choose each other." Lily laughed through her damp lashes. When her turn came, she said, "I won't promise to always be strong, because some days I'll be tired. But I promise to always be honest. When we fail, I'll hold you. When we succeed, I'll make you dance. I promise not to punish with silence, not to wound with misunderstandings. I'll ask, I'll speak, I'll trust. The way I trusted you the first time you said, 'Just try.'" Applause swelled, the wind seeming to clap along in rhythm. The officiant smiled and gave his blessing. Adrian bent to kiss her. This kiss wasn't the trembling one backstage, nor the impulsive one in chaos. It was the signature on a lifelong pact. After cheers, clinking glasses, and laughter spilled out like music, guests lingered under the glow of jazz and the sunset. At one corner, the marketing team unveiled a surprise, a mini AR gate. Guests lifted their phones to see 3D words float above the newlyweds: "Wrong door, right love." Laughter broke out, cameras flashed, and the story spread again. Cole Media's most unforgettable love campaign. That evening, under a canopy of fairy lights strung like stars, Adrian leaned close, his familiar clean mint scent of early meetings, late-night drives, long embraces, mingling with orange blossoms. His voice fell warm against her ear. "The most beautiful mistake of my life was you knocking on the wrong door." Lily smiled, closing her eyes, sealing the words with a soft kiss. "And the best choice of my life," she whispered back, "was staying when you said, 'Don't run.'" Late at night, their car stopped before a quiet building at the city's edge. River breeze cool, crickets singing their unscripted symphony. They stepped out, hands still linked. Before them stood a brand new wooden door, its handle shaped like a wave. "Our home," Adrian said. Not boasting, just the solemn, relieved tone of a man handing over the key to his life. Lily glanced at the small sign hanging on the frame. Home. Just one word, but whole. "Wait," she laughed, pulling out her phone. She opened a small app. An AR gate hovered over the handle. "A ritual for two people who build doors for a living?" "Touch and open," Adrian chuckled. "You first." Lily moved the phone closer, tapped. On screen, sparks burst into a tiny firework, spelling out, "Welcome home." In real life, she turned the handle. The door opened to a warm scent of wood and fresh paint, a bright living room, white walls and golden light. A small kitchen, a counter bar, and an empty bookshelf. They didn't rush in. They lingered on the threshold just as they had 1 year ago before another door, a door ajar, a room filled with steam, and a man in a towel. But this time, there was no mistake. No drifting air, no panicked retreat. "Come on," Adrian said, squeezing her hand. "This one won't open by itself." "We open it." They stepped across together. Lily's hand brushed the wall, imagining frames to hang, plants to place, arguments over sofa spots, mornings with Adrian brewing coffee while she tied her hair with a forgotten band. All the little things that stitch into a life. Adrian headed straight to the kitchen, pulling out a chilled bottle of wine. "I had a plan," he said with rare playfulness. "As always," Lily teased, accepting the glasses. She leaned against the counter, watching him pour with the gentleness of a man afraid to spill a whisper. "To the door of happiness," Adrian toasted. "To wrong door, right heart," Lily clinked back. The faint ring of glass sounded like a milestone. They sipped. Words weren't needed. Lily slid her arms around his neck, resting her forehead against his. Their kiss was slow, unhurried, the kind that didn't prove, but simply was. Beyond the window, the river breeze swayed the curtains. Time itself seemed to slow, yielding to the rhythm of breaths, heartbeats, and soft skin-to-skin reminders that here, in this new home, amid endless choices, they had chosen each other. That night before bed, Lily pulled out her old notebook, a habit from her rookie days. She wrote, "Day 365. We keep trying, and we keep winning." She set the pen down, glancing at the man beside her, the one who once promised he'd run into danger if she were there, who taught her to stand and face her fears, who whispered at the altar that the best mistake of his life was her knock on the wrong door. "Adrian," she murmured before turning out the light. "Hmm?" he replied, arm draped around her waist. "If one day someone knocks on our door by mistake?" Adrian laughed softly in the dark. "I'd tell them, 'Thank you, but this door doesn't make mistakes anymore. It's already been chosen.'" Lily smiled, eyes closing. On the edge of dreams, she heard the faint click of a window closing, the hush of wind passing like music. And in the morning, when sunlight fell across the floor of their new home, they would open that door again. Not because fate pushed them, but because two grown hearts had chosen to open it together. And the story ends there. Two hands resting on one handle, turning in sync, pushing the door wide. No longer ajar, no longer mistaken. Just one choice, and they had chosen each other. Thank you for being part of Soul Stories. If you're listening on another channel, come back to the official home so you can continue our love journeys together with the Soul Stories family.